Today, we are going to show you how to remove the trims off a 2024 and up Model 3 Highland. So before I get started, I actually removed the trims of the other side already, and I wanted to show you how this looks. So if you notice right here, it's almost like a teeth, and it actually rests on the metal right here. So it's pretty tight. So sometimes what you'll see us do here is we'll rock it back and forth because it loosens up the teeth right here that holds it, and it has this rubber, which makes it a little bit hard to slide it out in this one. We've noticed that in the older one, actually this video can relate to the older Model 3s because they're essentially very, very similar. However, I can say that the older ones are definitely a little bit easier than the newer ones. I feel like these are a little bit tighter. So we'll get started right away. So if you notice, the first thing I did was lower the windows, and that was for a purpose. It does make it easier than having the actual glass up because the glass creates a little bit more friction. So when you lower it all the way down, it does make it much, much easier to move this around. So before we get started too, we are going to put some tape mainly across right here. And then I like doing double just to make sure. And then we're going to do the same thing. Typically don't come out of this side, but just in case, I'll go ahead in case we have to. And the reason why I do it like this too is some cars I'll literally be able to lift it up almost immediately. And some cars I will struggle with it. So this is one of the trim tools from our trim tool kit. We also give you a smaller one and a bunch of others, but this is what I'll typically use. If you have another person that can help you, if they kind of pull once you get it started, and then you kind of work your way, that can be very helpful. But keep in mind, the number one thing that you have to watch out for is don't pull aggressively up high. It will bend, and when you put it back, it will look really bad. So that's one thing to watch out for. So what I'll actually do is I want to loosen it up from the back first a little bit, okay, just to kind of get it. And I get a little bit better access from the back side right here. And then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and dig in right here and see if I can get underneath it first. Okay. I'll try to. Okay. So you notice that it did move a little bit right here. There we go. So it doesn't look like it, but it did actually move. And if you would like, you could actually also wear gloves, and that could help some people. But you notice I got it started right here, and then I kind of get under it. And I think this is slightly harder, mainly because this car is lifted, and it'll be a little bit lower, which would make it a little bit easier. But as you kind of go across, you notice that it'll loosen. You can kind of move it around, up and down, side to side. And then once you get halfway point, it gets a lot easier. But if it doesn't, that's when you can use this side to open it up as well. If this didn't go exactly what I just did, I would also recommend putting tape all the way, and you could use a trim tool and pry it little by little, right? You notice it comes out. This is good to go. What I like to do with these, and I know that you could probably figure it out later, is we'll get a tape and we'll just put it on the actual trim, and we'll put something like passenger front, like PF. And that way, when you actually get started, you're not looking for it, and then you're not guessing which is going to go where, right? So go ahead, label it. And then we like putting a lot of the parts inside the car because typically that's much safer than being outside of the car in the shop, right? They might get lost or something like that. Last pro tip on this is after you're done, the glass is actually much more free because of no trim right here. It actually keeps it a lot more stable. Do not slam the door. When you close it, just kind of slowly close it, just like that. And that's all you need. And then you could already go ahead and remove the tape. You won't really need it since we're just going to be putting it back on, which will require this. So the rear window is actually very, very similar. You could reuse the tape since it's going to be very, very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and put tape right here. Same tape that I just used. And then I'm going to put one tape right here. Okay? So once you do that, I'm going to go ahead, lower the window as well. Big difference on these. you won't have the same kind of access. I mean, you could still pull it from the back a little bit, but you might have to be in the front more since this doesn't go all the way down. So same technique right here. I'm gonna get behind it like this. I'm just gonna get it started. And once I get it started, you're gonna wiggle it around, right? And then, oh, ouch. This one, I believe we removed in the past, so it does remove a little bit easier. That looked a lot easier, but same thing here. If that didn't come out as easy as it did, what I would highly recommend is putting tape across here as well. And then once you get started, because it's easy to get started because you could put this end inside the trim and lift it up and then wiggle it around. You're gonna use this trim tool and then really leverage it. And you can leverage it without damaging, just still be careful. This has PPF on it, so it's a little bit better. But you can kind of leverage it, and then, or if you have a friend, they could do that, and you could pry it up as you go. So the front and rear are very, very similar. Typically, I go from the outside and then go in for both front and rear doors. And then after that, you could close it, and then now you're ready to wrap it all the way in for whatever projects you might have. So this may sound simple, but we just want to show you how to put it back. And there's some couple tips and tricks that we want to show you. This was labeled passenger front, so I'm going to go ahead. I know exactly what it is. This is the teeth that we talked about earlier. Right here that you see, this, the metal, that's the front. Okay, so you know that's the front. What you're going to do is start with that, and you're going to go all the way to the mirrors first. Okay, once you go to the mirrors, you're just going to line up the rest of it. I like pushing it from the backside. Push it in, and once you push it in, you know it's resting against the mirror, and this is when you can start pushing down. I do like going on the other side once I get to this stage. You can see that I can actually push it just a little bit more because you want this to be flushed. So I pushed it from the other side, and you can slide it mainly because you haven't pushed it down yet. And once you do, you can start pushing it down from here, just like that. And it should click pretty easily. And it'll go down, and then the trims should go all the way down here. One tip too, after you're done with that, do this. Check your windows going down and up. If you didn't put it correctly, this thing will not come up properly. It will get stuck. So that means that take it back out and then put it back again, okay? Just make sure that it's resting on the teeth instead of anywhere else. So the rear is exactly the same. The only difference is obviously you don't have a stopper. So before you push it down, kind of step back a little bit, look at it, and then see that it's both even. If this side comes out too much, it can be problematic because it will butt heads with this trim right here. Now your trim is back on and you're ready to go. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments below, and click on that subscribe button, and we'll see you later.